you good?
Yeah.
You gonna smile now? It's recording.
Is it recording? Why are you recording?
Happy birthday, Drew Drew! Happy birthday! You're old now. You have like 3 years and you're 30, dude.
Hopefully.
What are you gonna do?
Huh?
What are you gonna do?
Andrew on the trampoline. Oh my gosh. By yourself. Let's see this flip. You're so extra for no reason. The kids think you're funny, but I know you're so extra.
Let's go.
Lose. Yes. So you lost. Yes. Down.
Let's go.
Hey family, welcome back to another video. I am so honored and blessed that you could join me for this very, very special dedication video today as we speak about the meaning behind my tattoo, which is this one here. I wanted to first remind you to please go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit that notification button if you like what you see today, and please share with your friends and family so that they can come on over too and subscribe. If you like what's in this video today, just take a few moments to like and comment below this video. This video today is all about the meaning of one of my most important tattoos that I have on me, and the person that is so dear to my heart that my tattoo is dedicated to. I wanted to just first say that everything in this video today is gonna be just purely from my heart. None of this is an act, none of it's for show. It's all truly how I feel about this individual and what they've done for my life, because they have done a lot in my life. So my tattoo here, it's two-sided. There's one side there with flowers and a face, and the other side is all a lot of stuff. So I want to take a few minutes in this video to just describe what each element of this tattoo means and express why it was of great importance that I had this tattoo and I carried this tattoo with me. But first, let's talk about who Andrew is and was to so many, but especially to me. So Andrew and I met when we were in our early teens, and we carried a friendship for many years before we decided that we wanted to be in a relationship. And while we were in that relationship, he was there for me like no one else in this world. I was going through court against my father at that time. I was dealing with my mental health challenges. I had just moved back to Toronto from the West Coast and didn't have much when I moved, just a suitcase and $100. He was so compassionate and empathetic to the struggles that I was going through. At no point did he ever make me feel like, you know, okay, Autumn, it's time to just hurry up and get over this, or you're bothering me with the problems that you're facing right now. He was just endlessly and empathetically, unconditionally there for me. It didn't matter if I called him at 3 o'clock in the morning or I called him at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I needed Andrew to be there, he was there for me. There were times that I didn't want to live, and he would come to my house and make sure that he stayed with me until I felt better. He would show up with groceries. He'd pick me up to drive me places. He would attend counseling if I needed somebody to be of support to me there. He would attend doctor's appointments with me. He was literally the type of support that I feel anybody in the world would dream of in a partner and in a friend. After about 4 years of us dating, we decided that it was best for us to just remain being friends, as we were kind of growing apart and we didn't want to ruin our friendship. So we went ahead and continued on as friends. And even though we had a past relationship, he always respected me. He always was a friend before he was a partner in the beginning, from the beginning anyway. So when we broke up, it wasn't anything different or new. We just continued on as we needed to, and he was always just there. He didn't make it weird. He didn't get jealous if I was dating other people, and the same for me. He still was as active in my life and as supportive in my life as he was when we were boyfriend and girlfriend. And he never changed how he treated my family. Even though we weren't together, he still saw my family like his family and still checked up on them. He would help my aunt with financial literacy, or, you know, ask how Amani, my cousins Amani and Kanye were, or come down still. There was times he would still come down to where my grandparents live and spend time with family as if it was nothing. I would go to him literally for everything. If I needed advice, he was the person that I was going to. If I wasn't sure about something, he was the one that I needed to go to. Why was that? It was because he was so logical and so rational. However, he was also gentle and caring. So if he needed to deliver some type of news to you about how you're handling a situation, you never felt like you needed to be offended by what he was saying. And you never felt like what he was saying was meant to hurt you. You always knew that it was coming from a place of love and a place of wanting the absolute best for you. On top of what he did for me in my life, Andrew was so active in his family. He was active in his community. He was active with his friends. He was active with our godson, because we share a godchild together. And he was still so active. If I had Julius, I would call Andrew, and Andrew would be there or meet us wherever we were going. If we were going to the movies, he'd show up. If I had Julius for a sleepover, Andrew would ask if he could come and sleep over too, and we'd just make it a big thing. So he was so active and hands-on with those that he loved and the things that he was passionate about. And that was something I always respected about him, something that I always cared for in him. He was literally like no other. Throughout the time that we were friends and we were boyfriend and girlfriend and then friends again, I always knew that he was struggling with his diabetes. And being naive and never really having anyone in my life that was diagnosed with diabetes, I just felt like you could just eat better and you'll be fine. You need to eat better and you'll be fine. And that's what I thought was the only formula to getting better. And I was wrong, because as much as the diabetes was a struggle for him, and you know, it was making him so sick, he still fought to better himself with his illness. He was changing his diet, he was trying different foods, he was doing his research on, you know, what type of food is better for his blood type. I knew he was passionate and dedicated to trying to get healthier, but there were also times that I witnessed him feeling like there was no hope, like nothing he is doing is working, nothing he is trying is working. And I remember he would just feel so defeated and be so, you know, weak, like he had no energy, and he felt like I'm eating well, so why don't I have energy, and I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, why is this not working for me? And I just kept encouraging him. Like every time he would vent to me about it, I just kept encouraging him, and I would say to him, you know, you're doing the best you can, keep doing the things that you're doing, keep eating well. I know it seems like it's never gonna work, but it's going to come in small strides. I would just do my best to encourage it. But I knew deep down that he was feeling defeated at times. I have to say, that to this day, one of the absolute worst things that I've ever experienced was losing him. And a lot of people questioned when he passed away, like, why I was so devastated. First, I want to say that I got a call from his sister, and I just remember hearing, Autumn, get to the hospital now. Get to the hospital now. And as soon as I heard that, I knew in my heart that it wasn't good. And all I remember is having like tunnel vision. Like, I just didn't see anything around me. And I just ran into the ER, and I remember seeing all of the family, because they're like my family too. They took me in, and they're a lot of the reason why I have a lot of what I have now. So they are my family, and I saw the family sitting at the side, and I remember people coming and getting up to come and tell me that he had passed, but I got to the room before they could get to me. And I remember turning the corner and just seeing him there like gone. And the next thing I remember is falling to the ground, just completely devastated and not knowing what to do, and just being so hysterical, and just feeling like everything was a dream. And I went up to him, and I was just rubbing his head, and kissing him on his forehead, just saying, you can rest, it's okay. And I just felt like I didn't know what to say or do. Like, at that point, there's nothing more for me to say. There's nothing more for me to do, because all the things I said and I would do, I can't do. And I just remember falling into the arms of one of his sisters, or actually two of his sisters, and them telling me, Autumn, you have to be strong. You have to be strong for mom. You have to be strong for mom. I just kept hearing that, you have to be strong for mom. And I just kept thinking, how can I be strong when he is the one person that's helped me to feel strong, that's helped me to realize my potential, that's helped me through the hardest things in my entire life. And I remember just going home from the hospital and feeling like, what do I do now? Like, God took my person. What do I do? What do I do? And there was times when we were together that we did talk about the consequence of him not taking care of his diabetes. And it's not to say he wasn't, because he was trying to do his best. But we did have the conversation of like, if you don't take care of your diabetes, what will happen? So I felt cheated, because I saw how hard he had been working at taking care of himself better and loving himself more and trying to be healthy. And I felt cheated because, our conversation before, we said, if you don't take care of yourself, death happens. So to know he was trying his best to take care of himself and it still happened, I think that was one of the hardest things to come to terms with, and feeling like I could have did more as his friend. And then I started going back into like the time that we were together, and I started saying to myself, like, would he have another day if we didn't go out to eat that night and instead we cooked? Would we have had another day if I didn't encourage him to drink that slushie? Would he have had another day if we worked out harder? And after he passed away, I just remember being so confused and feeling so unsure of how I should be grieving, because I was in another relationship, and many people kept coming to me saying, people that hadn't seen us in years, or if they did see us, they always seen us together, they would say like, oh, I'm sorry about your boyfriend, or I'm sorry about your man. And it was so confusing for me, because I don't want to deny his role in my life, but at the time of his death, he wasn't my boyfriend. He was my friend. He was my best friend. And explaining that to people, how you can be with somebody and then break up, and after you break up, still remain as close as we were, was excruciating. People couldn't come to terms with it. People didn't understand how. People didn't understand how that's possible for a woman and a man would have to have no sexual relationship and still be close. So people, I feel, really questioned what my intentions were during the grieving process, at his funeral, at this burial. And I dealt with so much backlash about how I don't care for my partner that I was with when he passed away, because I'm grieving him so hard and he's my ex-boyfriend. There's no way I can care for my partner. And it just was very unfair. It was just another level of stress for me to have to deal with, because I felt like I couldn't even deal properly. I couldn't even grieve properly. I felt like if I grieve him too hard, then people are gonna think that my relationship is phony. But if I don't grieve for Andrew so hard, that people are gonna think I didn't love and care for him after everything he's done for me. So it was just a really, really, really confusing time. And I felt like I was being pushed and pulled and not able to fully heal from it, and not able to start the actual grieving process as I needed to, because I was trying to prove to everybody how I was feeling and who I cared for, and that I cared for him, but that doesn't mean I don't care for him. And it was just hard. It was just really hard. It took a really long time for me to be able to just breathe. And there was days, and there still are days, where I think that I have it all together and that I've conquered missing Andrew, that I miss him, but I know he's here. I feel like I've conquered that. But then there's days that I miss him so much. Like, it's so hard for me sometimes, because I feel when I go through some of the hardest things in my life, that nobody in this entire world can understand what I'm going through but him, and he's not here. And it's just a reality that I have to face, and it's a reality that I just have to come to terms with and accept, because there's nothing I can do to change it. So what did I do after almost immediately after to kind of help me with the grieving process. And I know it seems so cliche, but I had to get something tattooed so that I have him with me at all times and I'm reminded of who he was in my life. So I'm just gonna show you guys. Okay, so this is the front part of my tattoo, and basically what this was based off of is a quote by Michelangelo that says, "I saw an angel in the marble and I carved until I set her free." So to me, I've always said that quote was symbolic of who Andrew was in my life. He saw an angel underneath the concrete, marble, whatever you want to call it, the ground, underneath the surface. He's seen me underneath the surface. He's seen me, Autumn Bree, underneath the surface. And he carved and carved. So he worked on me and worked on me and worked on me until he set me free. So he worked on me until I became who I am today. The cement or the concrete or the marble equals what I was going through mentally, emotionally, overcoming years of abuse from my father, going through the criminal justice system. I was laying underneath all of that. That stuff was weighing me completely down. And he carved through all of that until he was able to pull me out of it and set me free. And that is who I am today, mainly because of that constant and consistent effort of him loving me, caring for me, supporting me, no matter what. So when I went to get this tattoo, I wanted something symbolic of that quote. But the tattoo artist said not to get like actual concrete or marble. He said he doesn't think it would kind of look great or look the way I intended it for it to look, because I couldn't get it all on paper. So he's like, think of something that's symbolic of him, and maybe we can have it surrounding you and like, you know, you're coming and rising through that. So I have his birth month flowers, which is the chrysanthemum flower, surrounding a portrait of me, one of my favorite pictures, and it was one of his favorite pictures. So that's surrounding me, and I'm actually wearing his flower as like a hat or like my hair in the photo. So that represents him and what he's done for my life. Now this side is a whole lot. So this is the diabetes awareness ribbon, and we have blood there because that's what diabetics normally have to do, is take their blood. And the ribbon represents what he struggled with, but it's awareness. And this here is the twin flame symbol. So a lot of people ask me, like, what is a twin flame? So I'm pretty sure if you Google it, or somewhere that I was reading up on it, you know when you met your twin flame, when the earth beneath your feet begins to shift. And that was powerful to me because it was when I met Andrew, actually, when we got into a relationship, that is when my world got better because he helped me rise to the top. He helped me become who I am. So I felt like it was so important, and it was so meaningful to include that on my tattoo. So it's a twin flame symbol because it represents meeting him. The earth beneath my feet began to shift. And of course I have his initials, Andrew Alexander Newsome. I had to include his initials. It made the most sense. I've had a lot of backlash again about this. Why would you get a man's name tatted on you? But his role in my life was so significant. They don't recognize and realize why I'm getting it. It's not because I'm just wanting to have my man's name on me. It's more so a way of honoring him and a way of carrying him with me. So I've just held on to that. I try to not allow the opinions of others about my tattoo get to me as it once did. And I think that it's just important that I just continue to explain who he was to me and what he's done for me, for people to really understand the value and sentiment of my tattoo. So where am I at now? So obviously his impact in my life is gonna forever be carried with me. I'm a better person because of him. And as much as I wish he was here, I know that he is at peace. He is no longer in pain. He is not suffering. He is no longer sick. He is resting. And I have comfort in that. There are still days that are very hard, that I wish that this wasn't it. I wish that he was healthy and here. But then I also know that it's not up to us when we leave this world. It's not up to us when God takes us out of this world. It's up to God. And he did more in his 28 years of life and living than I know a lot of people have in their entire 50 to 60 to 70 years of living. So knowing who he was and how impactful he was to not just me, but to so many other people, it has left me feeling a sense of security, a sense of comfort, and a sense of just honor and blessing and complete luck that I was able to know him as deeply as I was able to know him. So if I could say anything to him right now, it would just be thank you for what you have done in my life, for who you were to me, for the way you put yourself second to me always and ensured that I was okay mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, and just being a friend before anything, before love, before relationship, before our arguments, before any of that. Thank you for just being my friend. I miss you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you're resting in peace with Jesus, with God, forever. What is my best memory with Andrew? Okay, there's a few. So I'm gonna give you guys my top 3, okay? So number 1, my best memory was us creating our summer camp together. He was a social service worker and he did a lot of work in the community, doing youth outreach, and I was a child and youth worker with an acting background. So together we put together the Creative Outlet, which is a youth arts-based program, and we ran that for 4 camps. It was such a huge success. It was my first introduction into being an entrepreneur, and it was just so fun. Like, we had the best and most creative planning appointments where we would just planning meetings, I should call them, where we would just plan out what are the snacks gonna be? What is lunch gonna look like? Who are we hiring? What are we gonna do if we have kids with these type of special needs? And there was one kid in our camp one year that had cerebral palsy. He was in a wheelchair, and I remember his mom called and said, he's in a wheelchair, he needs help getting on and off the toilet. Is this something you guys can accommodate? And at the time, we already had 3 or 4 different kids on an individual engagement plan, which would basically help them with any needs that they have, like if they need to be one-to-one, or if they have a certain program or things that we need to implement with them throughout the course of the camp. And I remember the mom saying, nobody will take us because of his high needs. Is there any way that you guys can take him? And I was like, no, I don't think we can do that. Like, we're already gonna be stressed with like the 4 kids that we have, and then you leaving to have to put him on the toilet. It's gonna be a lot. And he's like, no, we'll do it. We're taking him. We're not saying no, we're gonna do it. And I just remember that the child and him building such a great bond and close-knit relationship. They were so cool, so good. He had such a good time at camp that year, and I just remember seeing how happy Andrew made him. You know, there was less boys than girls at the camp, so they always had their buddy moments where Andrew's giving him dating advice, and it was just so funny to see how it all played out. And I was there thinking, no way, there's no way we're doing this, and Andrew's like, there's got to be a way. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna give him a camp experience, and I'm just so grateful for that. My second one would be this is when we were together. And I remember he used to always go on Groupon and buy like Groupon hotels or like getaways to Niagara Falls or like massages and like all this different stuff. So one time he calls me and he's like, pack your bags, we're going on a trip. And I'm like, where are we going? He's like, just pack your bags, we're going on a trip. I'm like, okay, but I need to know, am I packing for cold? Am I packing for warm? He's like, pack a little bit of both. And so I was like, okay, packing a little bit of both. So he picks me up, we start driving on the 401, and we're going towards the direction of the airport. And I see the airport sign, and I'm like, okay, we're about to go to the airport. He ends up driving past the airport sign. So I'm like, where are we going? Because the way we were going, there's not really much to vacation or like see. So I was like, where are we going? And then he's like, don't worry, I got it. Don't worry, you're gonna love it. I'm like, okay, sure. So we drive all the way to Brampton, pull up to, I think it was not even the Hilton. It was like a smaller hotel chain. I forget which one it was. And he pulls up to the hotel and he's like, see, I told you you'd love it. We're even close to laser tag and bowling and the movie theater and Applebee's. He's like, I got us a cheap hotel for the weekend in Brampton. That was hilarious. Like, I was actually mad, but it was so funny to talk about afterwards. That was my second one for sure. Third, okay, so Andrew always had this thing with pretending that he was hurt if you were like wrestling, or like even if he was walking and let's say he bumped into the door, he would pretend he was hurt. And I'd always say, you're extra. Why do you always do that? Why do you always say, like you're so like extra with it? And he's like, I'm not gonna like not pretend that I'm hurt just so you can come and hurt me more. If I say I'm hurt when I'm not hurt, you're gonna stop. I'm not gonna wait till I'm hurt and then you keep going and then it's like too late at that point because now I'm actually hurt. And I was just like, oh my gosh, your logic, it's so crazy, but it makes so much sense. And I just loved that about him. Like, he'd always say things like that, like if we're play fighting or whatever, and or like even if he was walking, like I said, I used to have a very low beam in my room, and he would always like just hit it but not hit it fully and be like, ah! And I'm like, why are you screaming? He's like, cause I didn't want to like not scream so you didn't think I wasn't hurt, then you wouldn't care that I came close to getting hurt. I'm just like, this is too much semantics for me. Like, okay, next time you're actually hurt, then you need to scream. He's like, I'm not gonna do that. So it was just always fun with him. Watching how he would work with youth was my favorite as well. He was very passionate, very dedicated, had a great way with kids and youth, and I just always found it very rewarding to kind of just be around him and see his vibe and see how he interacted with people. So those were my favorite moments. Alright guys, thank you so much for rocking out another video. I'm so happy that I was able to talk about my late friend Andrew Newsome, God rest him, share with you the meaning behind my tattoo, and also just give you guys some of my vulnerability. I'm gonna be a crybaby on this channel. I didn't mention that to you guys yet, but now you know, okay? But it's okay, because we're all about real here. We're all about transparency. We're all about being raw and open. So I'm gonna be human just like I want you guys to be human and share and open and be able to communicate and express your emotions with me here in my comments section, of course, but also your loved ones. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you subscribe. Notify yourself by hitting that notification button so you know when the next videos are coming through. It's gonna be every Monday and Friday, as much as I can do until this YouTube game is over me. And in the meantime, you guys go check my other videos. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic week. Keep it moving, keep it rocking. Peace.